Thank you very much. So before starting my presentation, I would like to play a short trailer of a movie which is questioning the way we consider poverty reduction and the system of financial public aid.
Machiavelli said, the reason there will be no change is because the people who stand to lose from change have all the power. And the people who stand to gain from change have none of the power. That's describing the global aid system today.
I'm glad people want to help. It comes from a good heart. People give us food, they dig us wells, they bring us shoes, they encourage others to give.
We're going to make poverty history.
The problem is, it does not work.
The foreign aid amounted to a huge subsidy, hundreds of millions of dollars.
Tom Shoes found the right model that captured this love of people who want to be generous and helpful.
Our donations have an unpredictable impact on the local economy. Why would you go buy something? It's for free.
Emergency disaster relief has become the permanent model.
After 40 years, if you're still here, there's a problem.
What happened to our cotton farms? That's all gone because of the negative impact of the imports at a second-hand level.
We rich countries that produce a lot of food should sell it to poor countries. It has not worked.
It actually created more poverty.
We don't need one more celebrity doing one more campaign. What we need is to no longer be excluded.
No one wants to be a beggar for life.
I know about countries that developed on trade and innovation and business. I don't know of any country that got so much aid they suddenly became a first world country.
If you really want to help, the poverty industry as we know it has to go.
The sooner we tell a beautiful story about the African entrepreneur doing amazing work, then we will begin to shift mindsets.
They're not desolate. They have hope. They have a way to get out of it. There's a way to fix it.
When you do something, you can see the impact on the population and you can say, this is because of me.
But having a heart for the poor isn't hard, but having a mind for the poor, that's the challenge.
So, for anyone interested in the history of economic development, the very concept of foreign aid may sound strange. After all, when you look at the richest, the wealthiest countries in the world today, they didn't use any foreign aid to become rich in the first place. Western Europe didn't start its own industrial revolution in the 19th century with foreign aid. The United States of America has not become the world's leading economic power thanks to foreign aid. The 800 million Chinese who escaped from poverty during the 3 last decades since the reforms of Deng Xiaoping have not become richer thanks to development aid too. And that's the same thing for other rich countries today. So there is one question. Why do we still think that some countries, for example, for instance, in Africa, would be unable to develop by themselves? Part of this answer lies in the title of the book written by a well-known American economist, The White Man's Burden, a book written by William Easterly. And this expression suggests our inability to consider, to think about poverty reduction outside the prison of post-colonial charity. And this is sad. This is very sad and frustrating because the fact is that We know since several decades and perhaps several centuries the conditions a country must satisfy in order to fight and reduce poverty within its borders. These conditions lies in two main features: good culture, good institutions. What do we mean by good culture and good institutions? By good culture, we mean what American economist Darren McCloskey calls the bourgeois ethics, the willingness to improve our conditions, the willingness to succeed, the respect of wealth. And by good institutions, we mean institutional features which have been largely summarized by a lot of economists. I am, of course, thinking about the famous work of Nobel Prize economist Douglas North, which talks about well-defined and secured property rights, an effective judicial system to enforce contracts, stable regulatory and fiscal framework which rewards trade, investment, entrepreneurship, and profit-seeking. You all know these features because they are part of the famous Doing Business Index produced by the World Bank. The problem is that poor countries they often lack this kind of culture and institutions. Concerning culture, there is a big problem in Africa. The problem is that nationalist and anti-imperialist movements have been a lot influenced by Marxist-Leninist philosophy, which assumes that global capitalism is a nasty Western plot to dominate them. This largely explains the anti-capitalist mentality, the anti-trade resentment on the Black continent. This anti-capitalist mentality, of course, has negative consequences on local institutions. It doesn't make them business-friendly. Local institutions are unattractive to foreign investors, but also unattractive to immigrants and diasporas who sometimes succeed in rich countries, while they know their native countries pretty well. For instance, I'm born in Paris, I'm born in France, but my parents, they come from Comoros Islands, and well, according to the French standards, they might not be very rich, but still they are very rich according to the Comoros Islands. And I used to talk to them, to ask them, why can't we, for instance, use our small savings to invest in your native countries? You know the language, in the traditions. We could start, a business. And the answer is always the same. They don't trust local institutions. They don't believe in the possibility to achieve something interesting. And even if they did, they still fear that they will be punished and not rewarded by local institutions. So now we know the conditions a country must satisfy. The question we must ask is, does financial aid help improving the culture and the institutions in poor countries? Or is it the other way around? Does it provide the good incentives, or does it maintain a system of rent-seeking in favor of special interests? On these issues, the empirical literature is quite clear. We spend billions of dollars these last decades, and instead of helping poverty reduction, these dollars are actually subsidizing bad governance structures, and it prevents local countries from questioning their institutions in order to be more independent from financial aid. So if we want to eradicate poverty faster, we have to change the way to fight it now. The question is not how to better subsidize the developing countries. It is to allow local countries and people to realize that the solutions to poverty lies in market reform, to help their countries to become more attractive, and the problem with foreign aid that it doesn't provide the right incentives to question these local institutions. Thank you very much.